unfortunate development that happened a few weeks ago, we are told, but it's now coming into public domain for public consumption and discussions. And it has to do with the sexual abuse of a 14-year-old autistic student of the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School following allegations that two security men personally sexually abused her, and this is causing quite the storm. A number of people, civil society and institutions are pouring their outrage as a result of this particular issue, which happened on the school's premises. The incident sparked calls for an independent review of the disciplinary action taken against the student, particularly the decision to withdraw her from the boarding house of the school for one academic year. The development has raised concerns about the school's handling of the case and the protection of vulnerable students under its care. In response, the Minister for Education has ordered an investigation into the incident and directed that the student's boarding status be immediately reinstated. The probe is expected to establish the circumstances surrounding the alleged abuse and examine how the school handled the matter. Razak Zongobong is the Upper East Regional Director of Education, and will be joining us in a moment to help us understand what exactly the steps are following the decision of the Minister of Education to order the school to ask the lady to be reinstated to boarding status. And then also, now that we are told that the two security men involved are in the grips of the police, what kind of sanctions are being meted out to them? But more importantly, what are the measures being taken to prevent a recurrence of such an unfortunate incident where someone that needs special attention or special care, unfortunately we are told, had taken some medication, and then these two security men took advantage of her when she was most vulnerable. But what has angered a lot of people who are commenting on this is how the school reacted. The headmistress, we are told, asked that the lady in question or the schoolgirl in question be taking out of the boarding house or taking out of the boarding facility for at least one academic year, giving the impression that she was actually the reason for the sexual assault against her, and that has caused quite the public uproar. So we want to interrogate this issue in detail and get some different perspectives to it following the new angles that are popping up. Joining us on the phone lines now is the Executive Secretary of the Mental Health Society of Ghana, Humphrey Kofi Mante. Mr. Mante, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, and thanks to you for having me this time.
Right. The issue that many are expressing, following the news we all heard, has to do with the fact that the lady in question was one that needed special care. First of all, how did your society take the news and the steps that have been taken by both the school authorities and government after we all heard about the unfortunate incident?
Thank you very much. We also saw the publication, and that is how come we came about the news. We believe that the school itself owe the duty of care to the child in question, especially when the person is a child with need, and also exposed to some of these things when we are all aware that he's suffering from a certain condition. I mean, the institution cannot excuse themselves from any blame because they were supposed to provide to the maximum some duty of care to this child, especially when we also know that she could be exposed to some of these things. It puts into question how supervision is done in school, and ultimately the responsibility of ensuring that the child really goes through her education in the school without some of these things lies on the institution. So the institution cannot say that they have subjected the two suspects to what they call the Code of Conduct of the Ghana Education Service, and that should be the matter. We believe that this is a criminal matter that should go through criminal trial. It cannot be the case that the child should be made to suffer because the school is subjecting the suspects or the accused persons through what they call their own code of conduct, and that should be enough. We have urged the Director, CID, to take steps, as well as the Attorney General, to take the necessary steps to do proper investigation so that all the people related to this matter could be brought to book. And we will follow this one stringently.
Right, and we also have been joined by the Upper East Regional Director of Education. We'll put a few questions to him regarding how they also heard about the incident, because we are told that we are now discussing it some 2-3 weeks, probably 5 weeks after the incident happened. We'll try and get some clarity from him in a moment. But Mr. Humphrey, your outfit, what kind of assistance can you provide, or are there strategies or plans for second and tertiary institutions that can call on you if there are people who have any kind of challenge?
So first of all, yes, we subject people to psychological counseling, because first and foremost, it will come to them as a surprise, and that is how it's going to affect them emotionally, psychologically, and physically, because they would have gone through some level of trauma, and to that extent, we would call for a psychologist to engage them, if it's possible, on the phone, whichever means it's possible, especially when it is far distance, so that at least they are taken out of the suffering of going through what has happened to them. It must be stated that such situations leave so much trauma on the victims, and we need not take this one for granted. And we should do everything to be able to take them out of what situation they would have gone through. We cannot say that you see, the issue of reasonable accommodation when it comes to persons with such situations is very, very important. You are aware as an institution that this person is suffering from this condition. Therefore, it's important that you either assign a certain staff or teacher to be able to take care of this child. We cannot say that we have exposed her because all the children in the school are the same. There is a need for us to give her some reasonable accommodation to be able to go through her education, especially when this has been brought to the attention of the school.
Right.
If it is not something that the school knows about, that can be a different matter.
Okay.
But to the extent that the school is aware, you would have expected a better situation or in terms of attempt in resolving this matter.
Thank you for your time. We'll leave it here. Maybe before you go, Mr. Kofi Mante, final one, if you can be brief on it for me. The Minister of Education has asked that she be reinstated or sent back to the boarding house. There are concerns that this could come with some kind or level of stigma, especially because students may know about the situation, the public may know about it now. How do you advise this? Is it okay?
No, I very much agree with you in your submission that it is going to come with a lot of stigma, and people are going to create names around her situation. It's important that she is reassigned. It doesn't matter which school she is at the moment, but to the extent that it can follow her through and have serious consequences on her performance in the school, I think that we will better off assign her into another school where she will continue from the same level. Because we know how peers behave.
Right.
Our own peers in the same class, when they get to know some of these things, they will make fun of you, they'll give you names. How would you perform better in a classroom where you have all this stigma following you? It's so devastating and derogatory, to have somebody like this in your class, and you think that people will not make fun of him or her. Sorry.
Thank you for your thoughts on this particular subject, sir. And you had Humphrey Kofi Mante. He's the Executive Secretary of the Mental Health Society of Ghana. And in the latter part of his submission, you heard clearly that they say they disagree with the order by the Education Minister that the 14-year-old girl in question be sent back to the boarding house. But let's take you to the region specifically and speak to Razak Zongbong, who is the Upper East Regional Director of Education. A very good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, sir.
I'll pick up from the last part of my other guest, who says that in as much as she has been asked to be sent back or reinstated to the boarding house, they disagree because friends could tease her. Already she's a vulnerable person. What does the your outfit make of this response?
Thank you very much. This is the more reason why at the background to see how this issue would unfold. As he rightly indicated, the vulnerability of the child was our concern when the issue came to me. And I had tried as much as possible to put the issues while we were recommending that the people involved should be tried, should be reported to the police for them to take up the issue. This was our concern, considering the fact that the girl is a special needs child. And that is where my concern comes in. As we are talking, nobody has bothered to find out the measures the school management has put in place to take up this girl to mitigate the issue as it is while we try the criminal charge. Indeed, it's not a pleasant conversation for me to put forth, but we'll let it be as it is. Well, good, yes, there's some counseling procedure that is given to the girl. When this thing came to my attention, I had invited the mother of the girl to my office. We had a conversation with the management of the school and that of the district director of the district in which the school is, and for which I am very much concerned that it's not a pleasant issue, that the issue is on the media space for us to discuss, because all the conversation I had with the mother was to situate the issue in the context of let's protect the girl so that the issue will not be just as the last speaker indicated. Yes, now whether we are putting her in a different school or she's within the school, they were my concern, and unfortunately, there's a letter. It has been issued revocating the conversation that was issued to the mother. But the issue, as it is, it was from the beginning. The mother made me to know. When I invited her, she came. We spoke. The lady is a special needs child. That needs some obligation, and that was why the letter was issued to put her on a temporary issue. For now, the schools are closed. It means between now and the September or so when they are coming back, at least there would have been some level of a reasonableness sort of timeline to get the girl good. Well, I have spoken with their mother.
But Mr. Zambong, the other concern people are raising or being talked about in the public is that why did it take this long before the interdiction? Because we are told the issue itself happened about some 3 or so weeks ago.
You know, in the criminal jurisprudence, there's a timeline for all these things. We need to vary some of these things and allow the system to go through. Because when they wrote to me, seeking direction as to where to go, I had the very first day the letter came, I responded that the issue should be responded to the police. But the bottom line here is now is out there in the public domain, and we are doing the discussion in the context of the girl. That is where my significant contribution has to be. Because I had written the letter to the head to report the issue to the police. and for which whatever it is, whether there is a delay, whether there is no delay, that is where the concern should be. But the bottom line here is that it has come out, and the mother of the lady should know that I have spoken to her in good faith, that let's trigger this issue in the context as it may be. What the media publication that put it did not see this angle. That is where my concern is, because at least I've done some human rights background to this, some of this, and then at the end.
Right. And maybe your line keeps fluctuating. If you can kindly reposition yourself, and I have just two final questions, then we wrap up this conversation. The next one will be, so in the current context of things, is there any action going to be taken against the headmistress? What kind of action, and the school generally? And from your directorate, how are you handling the situation?
To the headmistress?
Yes.
No, but to the headmistress, yes, she has issued a letter revoking the letter that was sent to her mother for her to be temporarily hold. But if we look at the background, let me even bring, when I engaged the mother, the background was, because the lady was in the school not taking the drug. That was how come I intervened. Look, take the girl home, let her take the drug. At the end of the day, she may be stable and will go through. But the bottom line here is that it has taken us out to a background for which I don't situate it into how we are going to deal with this case considering the girl. Because now the headmistress has not been listened to. She had a thorough engagement with the mother of the lady. There's the report that is sitting on my table. By Monday, we would have submitted it to the head DG, and by the same Monday, we'll submit it to minister for them to look at the conversation around it.
So let me be sure that I understand what you are telling us, or what you're saying, which is that, one, the school was aware that this is a child of special needs. Two,
yes,
there was a directive that she be taken home and given the needed care or take the medication, then she can come to school.
Yes.
But what we are being told at the moment is that when the news broke that two security men had manhandled her sexually, the headmistress asked that she be taken out of the boarding house for a year. And that's where people are saying that, no, that actually was not the right step to be taken. No. You are accusing the victim.
Let me speak for the head. I had engagement with the head, the district director, and the woman, the mother of the lady. The conversation was, the lady was in school not taking the drug for which she was on. Can you take the lady, the girl, out of the school temporarily for her to continue to take the drug until she becomes stabilized? Then she comes back to school. It wasn't a deboardinization. That is my understanding, based on what we spoke. It wasn't a deboardinization of the girl. It wasn't for her to be made a day student for the whole year. Yes, that is where she wasn't on the drug. She told the mother that she admitted to the mother she wasn't taking the drug. And that is exactly where my concern should be, that let's ensure now schools have vacated, she's in the house, she will come back at the end of the headmistress has issued a letter. I've received a copy of it, revoking that temporal engagement of her. But at the end of the day, it will stay till the schools resume somewhere the 15th of September. She'll come back. There's nothing hidden based on the engagement I had with the mother and had with the district director and that of the headmistress of the school.
And then in conclusion, what are the next steps of action against the two culprits in this situation? And how is the school ensuring that such issues do not recur?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. As it is, the two people concerned have been referred to the security, the police service. They are handling with it. And the issue will be if we look at the conversation, the headmistress and the management of the school has made us know on almost every week they have engagement with the people, not only even security agencies. all the staff to know the relevance of all these things. And that's where I look a bit confused as to how this thing has come in this light. I wish we should tone down. The report, detailed report, will be sent to the General and a copy sent to the ministry for them to look at it, and then we see the way forward. At the end of the day, she is a special needs of his child, and we are with her. And I had a serious engagement with the mother of the child that let's deal with this and backing the girl down to the background so that this thing should not be a discussion over the radio, over TV, for people to now, as it is, it has come out. Yeah. The people in the school where we are trying to protect them, the girl, have heard it.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for...
That is where my concern goes. I think at the end of the day, we need to pray to protect the image of the child and deal with it.
Right. We are grateful for your time this evening, Mr. Razak Zongbong, and thank you for making time to speak to us. He is the Upper East Regional Director of Education, and was giving us an interesting addition to what is already in the public domain, that they had already been trying to deal with this issue, but it's now in the public domain. So it has brought the conversation into a totally different limelight. Let's now engage the let's speak to ACT Foundation now. And joining us is Madam Diana Antong, who is a social worker, Crisis Response Center, ACT Foundation. Madam, very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Madam Antong.
Good evening. Hello, good evening, and thank you for having me.
Great. I'm sure you've also, as a foundation, been following closely this unfortunate development. First of all, do you get the sense that maybe it has caught all of us, by surprise, that an institution where children who generally are vulnerable in the first place and someone who even needs special care has unfortunately fallen in the hands of some predators, as it were. And we are told that school authorities have taken action, police have stepped into it, the ministry is also taking action into it. What do you make of all of these developments over the last few days?
Okay, thank you very much. And a very good evening to your listeners. Yes, so it's unfortunate that this incident has happened, and we, as an organization, who are part of people who have been advocating for child rights and abuse, campaigning against sexual abuse and all forms of abuse all these years, it has come to our notice that this unfortunate incident has happened, which would, it could have been avoided if certain measures were put in place. Yes. So especially for a child with a special need, I think the school could have done better to prevent all this from happening. So the school authorities, knowing that she is a child with a special need, could have assigned a particular teacher to monitor her, ensure that she's consistent with her medication. And even the school, I know all secondary schools, they have a guidance and counseling unit who handle, cases of, emotional issues and all that.
Right.
If all these measures were enforced, I think this unfortunate incident could have been avoided.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. We thank you for speaking to us this evening. Madam Diana Antong is a social worker, Crisis Response Center, the ACT Foundation there. What do you also make of the new twist to this development of the 14-year-old girl at the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School and the responses that we have received so far? We'll be happy to hear your thoughts on our social media pages. Do send them to us on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look for 3FM 92.7 and your thoughts can come to us. We'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. We are turning our attention now to roads, a very important infrastructure that links many parts of the country, and it looks as though the roads minister has had it up to his chin, especially the kind of reactions that contractors are having on the roads. Yesterday, we were told that some people are attacking contractors who are trying to make sure that their roads are more motorable. Another twist we are hearing just this evening is that the roads minister, Kwame Govins-Agbodza, is warning individuals who allegedly encourage project-affected persons to reject government's compensation offer by promising them higher payouts. Now, Mr. Agbodza said that such practices were contributing to unnecessary delays and increased costs in major road projects being undertaken across the country. Mr. Agbodza said that such practices, he was speaking on Friday, which is actually today, after inspecting some ongoing road projects in Kumasi. He explained that government agencies and surveyors conduct assessments and evaluate properties affected by road projects, determine their values, and pay compensation in accordance with the law. However, he said that some individuals subsequently approach the affected property owners and persuade them to reject the government offer that has been assessed by surveyors, claiming they can ensure or secure compensation worth 4 or 5 times government's offer. So let's listen exactly to the concerns that were raised by the roads minister, Kwame Govins-Agbodza, and then we'll subject it to some interrogation.
Anytime we do projects like this, and relevant go the inventory, evaluate, put values on those properties for compensation under the law, some people in our country approach those people and tell them, don't accept the values that are being given to you. We can give you 4, 5, 6 times the amount that government is offering you. And so they sometimes encourage the people to go to court to put an injunction on the projects. As a result, we have lost so much money, and sometimes the projects are delayed needlessly because of the behavior of some of these people. We are looking at the possibility of reporting 2 of those people to IOCO for investigation. So if you are part of those people who, anytime we do valuation, you tell people, don't accept it, we'll get you 4 times, and then you delay the project. Very soon, IOCO will be at your door to actually justify why you think you can get that project-affected person 4 times the amount when your colleague surveyor also decided that an amount was of money was enough. The problem currently is the bypass, because Kofi Job is supposed to be working on one of the sections. His workers turned up on site recently to continue the work, and people turn up with guns to assault the workers. Yes, the Konongo bypass. And all those people who are part of that, you should know that the state is bigger than you.
And that is Kwame Govins-Agbodza, the minister in charge of roads in the country. Let's speak to Ibrahim Abubakar, who was on the tour with the minister. He's joined us for a quick chat. Ibrahim, thank you for your time. What really prompted the roads minister to make this kind of pronouncement?
Well, Martin, so basically it was because of the concerns or allegations by some people that the government has deliberately abandoned the existing Accra-Kumasi dual carriage road and focusing on the expressway. And he is saying that, government is committed to completing all the projects. In fact, the expressway is an alternative to the existing dual carriage. And for that matter, we have 4 bypasses on that stretch. One is completed, then government has awarded or ensure that all the 3 others will also resume work. However, the challenge that is causing the delay is that there are others who are preventing the contractors from doing their job. And that is to say that even though government has done the evaluation, compensation has been given, others have come later to say that no, there are surveyors and lawyers who have come to them to tell them that they are entitled to about 4/5 of that compensation for that matter. They will not allow these people to work. And even with the Accra-Kumasi Expressway, that challenge was also encountered. And that is why the minister was saying that, or advising such surveyors and lawyers to desist from that act, because whenever they do it, it's not about only their pockets, but then eventually they are delaying critical road projects and also costing government more money. And that they will even go to the extent of involving IOCO to invite such lawyers for them to tell them why they feel that this place is ×5 the value that a surveyor has already put onto. So those are the things that they said, even especially with the Konongo one, that he mentioned that when the contractors went there, and people came there armed and prevented them from working. So he has even directed the regional minister to go there and ensure that they move such people out. And if it is beyond them, they should escalate the matter to headquarters so that they also take decisive action on those things, because they will not allow few people to delay or unduly delay such critical road projects that connect parts of the country.
Right. You mentioned the Accra-Kumasi Expressway as one that has encountered this kind of challenge. But which other roads do we know have, been some of those that have had people either securing court injunctions against the construction or have caused the halting of the construction of the roads?
So the Konongo Bypass Road is one. Because, like I mentioned, recently when the contractor resumed to site, there were people who came there allegedly with guns and prevented the contractors from working. And aside the Konongo bypass, another bypass, I think, Osino or Enyinem, one of them also had that peculiar challenge. And that is why they are saying that going forward, they will even have to involve the police, the military, to make sure that no people or individuals do not, or the activities does not deliberately or unduly delay the construction of such critical road projects. But the ones that was recently cited had to do with the Konongo Bypass Road, where contractors went there 2 weeks ago and they were prevented from working.
Right. And finally, where next for the roads minister, do we know?
Well, so the road minister, like I said, was in the Ashanti region and was inspecting critical roads. So he inspected ongoing works on the Seyasis area road. And this is one of the essential road or important roads in the region because it links to the regional hospital, and its completion is likely to impact on the operationalization of the facility. So contractors have told us that within the next 2-3 months, they will be fully done with the work, and then the authorities will look at operationalizing that facility. Then he also inspected the Kumasi Outer Ring Road, which is 45 kilometers, but it's been done in 3 phases. And this is also a critical route where heavy-duty trucks from Accra or Tema going up north will no longer have to use the main city, but then use the outer ring road and connect to Techumai and also that area to the north. Then we also have the Almighty Swami that has been redesigned, and contractors have assured them that they will be able to complete within schedule. So by 2027, most of these projects will be completed and accessible for motorists and also residents.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that succinct report. And Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti regional correspondent, giving us an update of what the roads minister has been about now that he's in the region inspecting critical roads, as he indicated. The concern that the minister raised, on the fact that some people are going around telling persons who have been affected by the construction of roads, maybe your house or your property is in the line of where the road is to be constructed. So they come and evaluate the property and then agree with you how much they are going to pay you or can pay you. Then some persons go behind them and tell them that don't take that amount from government, I can secure more for you for your property. And that's what the roads minister was quite unhappy about. Joining us now on the phone line is Emmanuel Kofi Cobbold, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. Mr. Cobbold, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. I'm happy to join you. By the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, not Institute.
Ghana Institution of Surveyors. Thanks for the correction. What do you make of the concerns raised by the roads minister? Is this something you are aware of, that people try to talk project affected, citizens out of the compensation they've agreed with government?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. I think if we understand the compensation process, it will put the whole issue in a better perspective. In the first place, probably once the minister says they are inflated, then we can presume that there is a figure that should have been on the table, and then subsequently probably it's increased. So we may look at it as for those specific issues. But generally, the law permits affected persons to submit their claims together with evaluation report. And so right from the onset, there is the evaluation report that is supposed to be submitted by the affected person as part of his claims. And then secondly, the government valuer, which is the land valuation division of the Lands Commission, will also undertake evaluation of the same property or piece of land. And then subsequently, based on what was submitted by the affected person, and then what the land valuation valuers arrived at, if it's conflict or there's a difference, sometimes there's opportunity to renegotiate. And the two valuers probably will go through their principles, their methods, their rates, their comparables. Then if there's still a gap, then it's subject to negotiation. And so every affected person by right has a right to professional service of a valuer. And so that's where it starts from. So if somebody goes behind a consultant to advise I shouldn't take, then probably the person may not have the benefit of having a valuer right from the word-go to advise. And ideally, we should always advise affected persons to request for the service of a valuer. Then a stranger, let me put that way, cannot come back and say, don't accept. Because before even the government valuer finishes their evaluation, you have already put in your claim. And so they know how much you are asking for.
Right,
so once they know what you are asking for, it's difficult for you to then say that you don't accept what you have put in as a claim. So that's how the procedure is supposed to be.
But from what the minister sought to say, or based on my understanding of what the minister put out, the agreement has already been reached. So you have a property, the road we are constructing could affect it. I come, we value the property, and then we say, for instance, maybe we both agreed some 10,000 or 20,000 CDs or something. Then just when government is preparing to pay or the processes to start paying begins, then some of these people start refusing government's compensation to say that you are shortchanging me or you are paying me less. So does that mean maybe the minister was not properly briefed as regards maybe these property owners also had private valuers to look at the property and say, maybe what government is giving you is less. Is that also possible?
Yes, as I said, if we go through the processes right, it won't sometimes be difficult for you to say that I'm claiming 100,000. Government accepts or negotiates with you to say we are paying 95, we agree, and then you go back to even what already putting as my claim. I'm not more going to accept. I don't know the circumstance that can really give rise to such a situation. But ideally, because in this country we don't do things right, we also give room for this. Because before the road is constructed, compensation should have been paid.
Right.
Before you even try the road. But most of the time, we go ahead, sometimes they pay for the structure, and then after so many years, we come back and pay for the land. So when you do this, you distort even the person's value. So, alternative accommodation, because you pay the structure. You can't relocate just by the structure. We should pay that together with the land. Secondly, we should acquire before we do on the land. If we do it, at one point, but since the structure is there, it's going to develop, so I won't take it. Then sometimes you also go on a legal tangent that if you don't pay me, I won't allow it to demolish. But we should have, demolish, paid and demolished, then they will not come back. Because you realize that once there's a good construction, some places open up and values immediately goes up.
Okay.
And so if I'm taking 100,000 today, I should have taken 100,000, but I've not been paid. I get 100,000. If I have to relocate, probably 100 meters away. At that time, because the road construction has opened up the space, the values now is over 100, maybe 500.
Right.
So I'm not being
Mr. Kobo, thank you. Thank you for the perspectives you share with us on this. We are grateful for your time this evening.
Welcome, anytime.
And he's Surveyor Emmanuel Kofi Kobold. He is president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. And they've also, he's just sharing a thought on what the road minister has been saying about the fact that some people are trying to circumvent the system, go behind agreed fees between government and project-affected citizens to offer them more, inadvertently delaying road contracts across the country. Emmanuel Cherry is the Chief Executive Officer, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Mr. Cherry, thank you for your time. What do you make of this session by the minister that some projects have delayed, some contractors actually have come under attack because of the fact that people try to usurp the system, and when agreements are made, they go behind the government to try and get higher fees for the project-affected citizens?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very well. Thank you very much. One thing is, in construction, one thing that we must also not lose sight or forget about is we call something valuation. Now, if you want to use a particular piece of land, there are procedural methodology that you need to use in securing those particular piece of land, especially if you know that those parcel or piece of land does not belong to you. So the best you could do is to hire the services of your own valuers to make sure that they engage the owners of those particular property and understand the issues, agree to certain terms and conditions, sign against it before you commit yourself. But most of the times, what we normally see is the clients go into it forcefully, trying to use the back door. And if the owner of the land also realizes that no, the value of that particular land is no longer going to be the same, then you will be possibly be advised by the professionals, and that is where the issues come in. So therefore, as you said, government has negotiated. But what is the ceiling point? Have they sealed that particular negotiation on that agreement by signing to it? If it's yes, then there is no way the owner can go behind and say it's going to open up that particular discussion again. No. So most of the times too, the government may agree together with the owner, but what normally happens is government defaults based upon the payment terms. So that is where the owner also gets an advantage and say, okay, I'm no longer going to agree to the initial agreement, and therefore let's start afresh again. Meanwhile, your hand is already tied up to that particular, that project.
But
so
Mr.
therefore,
Terry, you would agree that I'm not sure government flexes its muscles and government takes people's property, in the name of we are constructing a road for the nation so you can go to hell, for lack of a better expression. I think what we are told, especially based on what the minister says, negotiations start. There is some level of agreement between government and the person who's affected before even the project starts. Is that not what happens?
That is the exact picture that must be painted before anything starts. But most of the times, before you realize, at times the commencement of the project starts, and then negotiation is also working at the same time. So if the owner begins to realize that there's going to be additional value or added value to that particular parcel of land or that stretch, automatically, by the time you get to the negotiation, the person may end up changing his mind or her mind based upon the initial thoughts that he may be having in mind. And that normally values the project, portfolio. So these are some of the issues. So you realize that this Accra-Kumasi Express Road, some of our professionals were raising concern that if this is not taken care of fast, it may also be orchestrated by such discussion that we are having today. Because if you start clearing, and then without agreeing to the right compensation claims, if you're not very careful, you finish clearing, and then the owner will come back and tell you that initially we wanted to do this, but we are no longer going to agree to this, and therefore this is what we are going to agree to. So most of the times, procedurally, all you need to do first is to engage the owners or the erosion owners of those particular parcels or that right of way, making sure that you agreed and everything is signed. If it's signed, nobody can bypass you to do the otherwise, unless you default based upon the payment terms, and that is where the agreement becomes null and void, which means we need to start again. That is where the challenge will be.
Right. Okay. Thank you for helping us understand this issue even better. Pleasure talking to you, sir.
The pleasure is mine.
Emmanuel Cherry, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry there. Bringing us to the latest in the world of sports, and this has been Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. Details of what's happening in the world of sports in a jiffy.
Hello, good evening and welcome.